And welcome to another Ditch Witch Diaries. This time you can see this week we are with the lovely Jen Gunn. And we are in poisons. We're talking about all different kinds of poisons, poison gardens, poison things, and baneful herbs. And my next herb, it doesn't quite fit in with poisons, but it kind of fits in the milieu of the whole thing. So I'm very excited to share it with you. Let me start sharing. We are going to be talking about pitcher plant. Woohoo! And these are some beautiful plants. Let me just tell you, I am so excited to share these with you. So they are nepenthes. Is that how you say that word? Nepenthes, right? Nepenthes. I think it's
that sounds believable.
It sounds believable. So several species. I don't always look up though, and I never have the right way of especially with my twangy English. I'm just and now they come out that California has their own sound to them or whatever it is. Of course we do.
Like, oh my God, no.
This is one of the botanical drawings. There are many different types of nepenthes. So like I said, several species. This is one, and this is what AI thinks it looks like, and what a beautiful sight it is. So what a lovely sight it is. So this is some poetry from pitcher plant. So then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim, whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, respite in nepenthe, from they memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff, this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore, quoth the raven, nevermore. And that is from the Raven. Exactly. So pitcher plant. Other names are Adam's pitcher, dumb watch, Eve's cup, frog's breeches, gibbosa, Indian dipper, huntsman's cup, Lallian patau, monkey cup, whippoorwill boots, Sarracena, side saddle plant, fever cup, and smallpox plant. And I want to say that quote from, before I move on, from Edgar Allan Poe, The Raven, it may have referred to this plant, but we're going to talk about how that nepenthes is confused. That Latin name is confused. So the parts used are the leaves and the flowers and the roots. And the correspondences, exactly. The element is water. The planet is Pluto. The astrological sign, I didn't find any. So up for grabs. And the deities, I didn't find any of the deities, but I did find that it was associated with the Fae very often. And the Sabbat or festival is Lunar New Year that it's associated with. So the plant information. So Linnaeus cataloged it as nepenthe in 1737, and they're found wild. So throughout Southeast Asia, any place where there's wetlands, really. Australia, South Pacific, Madagascar, the Americas, Canada, any place where there's wetlands, you're going to find pitcher plants. It was Joseph Dalton Hooker and Charles Darwin who actually figured out that it wasn't just water inside the cup, but it was actually gastric juices and had enzymes that were being digested. And there are, much to maybe your horror, there are monster pitcher plants that are in the world that have their pitcher part is a foot long and it contains more than 4 quarts of liquid. So it is, but there is some they don't just kill all plants, all animal species, because the pitcher plant actually is a plant that cohabitates with about 150 other species of animals. So it's interesting, like it, even some mosquitoes that use it as a breeding ground. So that picture is from Carnivorous Plants in the Wilderness. And I put this up there because we're going to talk about it. This is a carnivorous plant, and each leaf, it's a leaf is what this picture is. The picture part of it that you see is formed by a leaf, and it has 5 distinct zones. So this topmost zone that you see, number 1, consists of the flared flap. So zone 1 has all the nectar glands and it has all those bright colored veins and that's what attracts the prey. So the lid basically is zone 1. Zone 2 is that rim. So that you see, and it's labeled there. It's a smooth rim inside the picture, and it's, even though it's smooth and allows the insects to glide down, it's also the start of kind of this glue area. There's a specialized glue that's both slick and adherent at the same time, so it doesn't allow them to scuttle back up the leaf. So the main body of the plant, zone 3, is where the prey dies. It's the death zone. This part is filled with water and some enzymes, and this is where digestion seems to begin, right in that zone. Then at the bottom of the picture is zone 4, and the digestion is continued in this part. And then there's actually a waste area. So zone 5 is actually a long, narrow stalk for waste of indigestible material from the insect. Very interesting. And this has lots of lore. So the lore, stories, and cultural import. In Greece, so this is where we get this whole nepenthes and like this, because in the Odyssey, nepenthe is mentioned, and it was named after a medicine to cure sorrows in the Odyssey. It was given to Helen of Troy to make her forget her sorrows and to make her feel happy. But Pliny and, Dioscorides, I don't know how you say that. We always debate how you say that name. They think that the nepenthe that's mentioned in the Odyssey is actually borage. That's what they said it was. But modern scholars kind of think it might be more opium related because of what it was used for. Like borage really isn't going to make you forget your sorrows, or I mean, it's beautiful to look at it. It makes me forget my sorrows whenever I look at borage, but that's because I love it. And literally, I have so much of it. I don't know how I got so much borage in my garden. It's just beautiful, though. The flowers are so like, like that is borage. And all the little flowers are at the ends. Anyway. So how it can be confused with this is beyond me, but apparently it is. So then in Sumatra, there's stories as well. So Nepenthes naga is a form of the pitcher plant that has a little like finger that sticks out. And the dragons are said to live in this area of the Baristan Mountains, and that's where this sort of Nepenthes naga lives. And naga is the name for dragon. So in Sumatra, naga is dragon, and the appendage that grows underneath the lid of the plant, it's supposed to be like a dragon's tongue, is what. So the Nepenthe naga harkens, it's like Nepenthes dragon, and it harkens to the dragon's tongue appearance of the little tongue in that type. So more in South America, because again, Nepenthes is growing everywhere that's anytime you have marshy and wet, you get these plants. So this time it's the Patasola variety, and it's named after the Patasola vampire. This vampire is a beautiful woman who appears in the jungles and mountain ridges and lures men to the undergrowth. Okay, when they've been sufficiently lured and lost in the undergrowth, she then shapeshifts into her true form, which is a one-legged, cloven-hoofed animal with big teeth and eyes, and then she eats them. So that I love that story actually. That is one righteous story, I tell you that. Anyway, so the Patasola variety. In Madagascar, we have more stories. In 1658, it was the first noted mention of this plant in writing happens, and it is the governor, who is a Frenchman, and it's Frenchman Etienne de Flacourt, who's and I feel like he was mentioned before in some other writing too. I feel like I've heard about this Madagascar governor before in some other herbal writing. So check back in my past. I think it was for like some sort of spice. Anyway, so now we go to England, and of course these English what are they called with the what are they called when you have like an indoor garden with like glass all over it? Like
There.
they have a famous one in San Francisco that I went to, and right outside they have a big dahlia garden, and then you go inside this like glassed area with all these beautiful indoor like plant. Oh, I can't remember the name. Anyway, somebody will remember it for sure. Please help me. I'm so bad with those names sometimes. So this
It was called a pavilion, but that's not the name of them.
no.
I want to say a hot house.
It is, but it's like
House.
what?
Greenhouse.
It isn't a greenhouse. It's like a
Something like that.
conservatory or a. I thought.
Yeah, conservatory.
Yeah, that implies. Anyway, they even have one in what's it called? They're redoing the big one in Balboa Park. Yes. So anyway, the Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew have a grand collection of Nepenthes. I swear, if I ever get to England, I'm telling you I am going to be touring gardens. That's like going to be my dream, is to tour the gardens of England.
They're more dramatic.
Hothouse Gardens. There you go.
There you go.
They date, but I know they're called something else. The hothouse gardens, though, date from 1759, and they contain specimens of Nepenthes. They contain specimens as in the 1800s. It was noted that Nepenthes were around in these gardens. So then in Asia, we have stories. They would hold helpful spirits that can guide you back to your past. So these little Nepenthes, they would. I know, I love that.
I like that one. That's a great picture.
I know, isn't it?
Good job, Aya.
I know, exactly. Sometimes there's winners and sometimes there's losers, and I post either way for our enjoyment. So now into China we go, and it represents patience. The pitcher is a container to store wisdom and knowledge over time. So I like I like those because they often have the magical quality of immortality and wisdom together when they have this like who does that? I know a couple of them, but ginkgo biloba is one as well.
Mm-hmm. Peach.
What?
Peaches.
Yes, peaches. There you go. Philippines. And that's a beautiful picture. That was just one of my favorite pictures of all time. Like, I love that fucking picture. Sorry to cuss, folks, but we're already in poisons. That is an amazing picture. And you know what? It needs to be somewhere. Anyway. There's a story of a beautiful, vain woman who was turned into a pitcher plant as a punishment for her vanity. So often that's a theme for this plant, is that people will be turned into a pitcher plant for punishment. That's probably why they're carnivorous. They eat. So then they're like kind of human. So because then in Indonesia, we see like another theme, but this time it was the gluttonous man who was turned into the pitcher plant as punishment. And the pitcher was considered his belly that could never be filled.
Cute.
Exactly. So then our First Nations have a story. The Creek First Nation has a story about pitcher plants. The Creek, who are also known as the Muskogee or Muskogee people, they lived in the Southwest United States in Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee. This is going to be a new thing too. When I mention a First Nation, I want to tell you, like I want to locate you in our country now, so you know where these people were. Like this whole huge group, beautiful people that were in our country and that lived here before we got here. You know what, folks? We didn't just show up and it was empty. Like, guess what?
Millions of people.
Exactly. They were here, and some of them, they talked about the pitcher plant. And what did they say? The pitcher plant was a gift from the spirits to help them survive in harsh conditions. And the pitcher is supposed to resemble a water jug to collect rainwater for the tribe, which is not a good word, but that was, I often just we'll use the same wording that's used in the thing. So rainwater that was used for the group during their dry season. Let's see. So its carnivorous nature was seen as a symbol of strength and resilience. So a lot of lore about the pitcher plant.
Oh.
Exactly. So First Nations Choctaw also talked about this, and this is what AI gave me, and you'll see why the picture AI gave me, because the Choctaw lived across the Southeast US in Mississippi, Louisiana, where now we have Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama. Because, and I tell you this because often where they were forcibly relocated to is not these places. So that's another thing too that I want to draw your attention to. So the pitcher plant was the tool of the trickster spirit, and it's used as a cautionary tale to children about being lured in. So it was like when you tell children, and we have those things in our culture too, to warn children about being lured. So that oh, don't be like lured by the stranger danger or whatever it is that we like. Exactly. And I know I can tell you, I'll just tell you one from my culture, from my childhood. The LDS or Mormon culture talked about Satan as being like flaxen cords, like that were loose around you, and then pretty soon you wouldn't even know it, and you would be twisting around, and they would get tighter and tighter and tighter. So they used like the imagery of flaxen cords to like as children being lured. Like, so that's like flax is a lure for LDS people.
I just remember free candy. Like, don't go to the
Oh
van that
yeah,
has candy.
exactly. Puppies.
I'd still fall for that.
Or even in, well, we have a big one about the person with the hurt arm, the cast, because there was a serial killer. What's his name? That really handsome serial. He was even LDS. That really handsome serial killer. What was his name? I forgot who he was, but he lured people to oh gosh, I can't remember. But
I can picture his name too. Yeah, I blanked on it. But
he's
yeah,
very very attractive.
Yeah, he was a Republican candidate.
I don't know what he was, but he was anyway.
Ted Bundy.
Yes, Ted Bundy. Thank you.
Still up there.
Yes, he was the one that you lured people away with the fake
Help me move a couch. My son wanted to be moving a couch with a hurt arm.
Exactly. And for a woman, can you come help me? Anyway,
That's
beyond. Exactly.
that's why you should call a friend.
Exactly.
Phone a friend if you're asked to help move.
For sure.
Or look for puppies.
Yeah, exactly. So the First Nation, the Algonquin First Nation, talks about infusion of leaves. An infusion of the pitcher plant leaves was an aid in childbirth. So the magical properties: strength and endurance, emotional healing, protection. A lot of things are protection though, of self or of home, of the home, Also secret knowledge, cunningness. We saw that again, like with the trickster and with some of the other things too, deception. Transformation. Of course, because like it's transforming the grounding while using intuition. Paths to deeper insights. Seduction, luring, seducing its prey. And then the medical stuff. So I always put this disclaimer for people in case they think I'm a doctor, in case they've come under some faulty impression that I might be a medical professional. That would be a bad impression there, folks. As you well know, this is all from books and from things that I've read or information that I try to cobble together. Usually I try to pick the smartest ones from the internet, like Sloan Kettering and the National Institute for Health, if I'm going to go to the internet. Otherwise, I'm sticking closely with traditional people like Kloss and Grieve, and possibly I bring in some Hoffman or some Gladstar into the mix. So,
Cool.
With that said, the root is purpurea, and it is I saw some research that had anti-cancer and antioxidant properties, and I have a link to that as well. So in the end, please look there and please do your own research about anti-cancer properties. So Native Americans or First Nations did use this as well, as we discussed. They used pitcher plants for lower back pains and for fever and colds, chills, whooping cough. Again, we've talked about whooping cough many times, so I don't have to belabor whooping cough. If you have whooping cough, please see a doctor. Pneumonia or pneumonia. Smallpox. It was, again, smallpox. People, we're not even vaccinated for smallpox anymore because it's pretty much gone. But if you run across smallpox, I hesitate to even say smallpox, because I would seek medical attention forthwith before you spread it to the unvaccinated masses. Okay, stomach issues, dyspepsia, torpid liver, which is an interesting thing. I don't know what torpid liver is, but it's slow liver. So it must like force, it must stimulate digestive juices. Kidney problems, and I assume because it's a, wait, here, I'll go back, tell you what, because of the diuretic properties. Uterus complaints. We saw it used for women's issues. And then these are the sources, and let me draw your attention to that, the one down at the bottom. So the anti-cancer and antioxidant activities of the root extract of the carnivorous pitcher plant Sarracenia purpurea. I know, there you go. So that's that. So I'm going to actually, I'm going to stop the share here, and we will see you at the next Ditch Witch Diaries.